as one guy once said...
Cornelius Robinson from Meet the Robinsons.
Oh, there we go.
Keep moving forward. Even when you fail, keep moving forward.
Well said, Matthew. And that being said, Lynn, is this the artistic angle we're going to get from you for the whole episode?
No.
Welcome to the Nerdentials podcast, starring your hosts, Joe Tweedy, Matthew Johnson, Nick Thomas, and Lynn Dudgeon.
I don't have my banana. Am I recording banana?
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. So
You're good right now. As long as you don't stand up. As long as you don't stand up, we got the shot glass.
The shot glass, though.
Shot glass is perfectly centered under your chin, and now it's perfectly covering your entire face. I love it. All right, I can still see the thumbs up, so as long as you give me a Caesar's thumbs up, thumbs down situation, we can keep moving forward. Well, we got your voice at least.
To the left. Oh wait.
So how's that? Like, am I pretty center? Or
you are perfect. You are perfectly centered. Just don't lean forward, don't stand up, and don't dip down. I know that's a lot to ask, but basically stay where you're at for at least the next hour.
Okay, because I've got like a toy car. It's got my phone propped at the right angle, and I've got your guys' reflections going off my beer mug, so I can barely make you out. If I drink the beer, though, I can't see you guys. So.
There's no guarantee you're going to be in the moment. I get it. All right. That's all right. You know what?
So keep the beer where it's at and just keep drinking what you're drinking.
Fair enough.
As my children's book once said, I think it was Tom the Cat, just keep on keeping on. Or something like that. Anyway, that was a poor quote. I apologize for that, and we're going to move on. We're going to pretend that was never said.
That never happened.
Well, guys, on that note...
Shit.
Perfect.
You took my line.
Perfect cue, Lynn. Right as I said, he's like, oh, shit. Guys...
And on that note...
Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I am accompanied by two nerdy hosts this evening. Wait, I guess I should introduce myself. I am Joe Tweeden. Accompanied by two fellow nerds, the Matthew Johnson, while he collects himself, and the Lynn Dudgeon. A wave of the hand to all you non-viewers of YouTube.
What up?
There he
non-viewers.
is. We do have an audio version, Lynn, and we gotta pay attention to those out there.
No.
No?
Audio people need to come to. They need to come to the YouTubes
so that they can see your wonderful expressions and transformative hand motions. As he gives us... Whoa! Alright, that was not sparkle fingers.
I was going to say he's doing spirit fingers, but then that turned into
I said sparkle. Spirit fingers. Yeah.
That happened. Whoa.
That did happen. And guys, we are short one fellow nerd this evening. At least for the time being. We're holding out... We're holding out hope that the Nick Thomas will join us at some point in this recording. But
put his face on a missing kids.
One of those milk cartons. Yes, one of those milk cartons. Shout out to Old School Nerdentials YouTube.
Sometimes you just gotta go with the blast from the past.
You do. And Matthew, on that note... Wow. Super awkward and inappropriate as always, Matthew. Now that now that we've all gotten introduced, guys, this is going to be San Diego Comic-Con news blowout, at least for the Marvel stuff. But I do have one bit of nerdy news not related to Comic-Con. So, you know what? I'm going to throw, you know what I haven't thrown down in a while? The one jingle that doesn't mix well with movie or TV. It's the weekly dose. Let's throw that down. Right there. I cut that little jingle in. It's been a minute since I've done a news-only jingle, so there it is.
Weekly dose.
Here we go. Guys, welcome to the Weekly Dose. There's a lot of stuff to cover this week and last, and we apologize, guys. We missed a week. We're going back to the weekly, and sure enough, this is your bi-weekly episode, but it's still sort of relatively current, and we're all excited about it, so we want to talk about it. Guys, thank you for joining us. Our first major bit of news to throw out there that was announced in the last week or so, at the time of this recording, was the fact that Amazon announced their entire creative team behind the Lord of the Rings TV series exclusively coming to Amazon. So, before I jump into this, let me just get a little bit of weight behind your guys' excitement level. Before we talk about who's involved, we've briefly mentioned it in the past, but Matthew and Lynn, humor me for a second as you laugh. Matthew, how much hope or excitement do you place in the idea of an Amazon exclusive Lord of the Rings TV series? Just raw thoughts right here off the top, without knowing who's involved.
You want to take it, Lynn, or do you want me to take it first? You want me to take it first?
Well, Matthew, I'm calling on you. I'll pass it on to Lynn.
You're gonna have to be I know what's there. I've already gone through it with you.
Behind the scenes, listeners, I've already go for it.
Spoilers. Spoilers, listeners.
Spoilers.
I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Not a lot of people know that. One of my first books, like in middle school, for me to read was The Hobbit. So I read pretty much all the books. And with Amazon taking on this, I think it's a good idea. I like the fact that they want to make it into a series. I don't know who's behind it, but I feel that if Amazon's behind it, they have some heavy hitters behind them.
Well, and just a quick reminder, Matthew, what we have talked about in the past is that if you don't remember, CEO Bezos, Mr. Bezos, wrote out a check for $250 million to the Tolkien estate just for the rights to make a series, exclusive rights to make the series. $250 million. The average budget of a Marvel blockbuster movie. Just for the rights. So, does that, even not knowing who's involved, does that not kind of inject a little bit of shock factor in that this has to be good? Not knowing who's involved yet?
With knowing that now, I hope that it is good.
I don't think you were there when we talked about it, but $250 million just to use the name Lord of the Rings.
If it flops,
catastrophic failure.
That one, I would be very disappointed. For one,
yeah.
Two, that's a lot of money to throw away for a flop.
And that makes Jeff Bezos the CEO, sole family owner of Amazon. That makes him look like a very, very poor investor.
Right. But it gives me hope that if he is putting out that much money, then obviously he's a fan in that aspect, hopefully. And then hopefully the acting is good. And it's not going to be like a B-rated TV show.
I don't think Amazon could survive spending. I mean, they will, but with that much money thrown out.
Right.
Well,
Hold on.
If it's like Bruce Campbell B-rated, I'd be down. I would watch the shit out of it.
Hey, if it knows what it is, yes. If it knows what it is, Lynn, then that's a super valid statement.
I agree with that, Lynn. But it's yeah.
Matthew, here's the thing. We can't sugarcoat this anymore past your perspective because I unfortunately off air shared a lot of this creative team with Lynn in personal conversations, so I can't fairly ask him his opinion to comparatively yours not knowing. So we're just going to have to dive into this.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I like the fact that
now I'm afraid.
No. Why would you be afraid? Lynn said nothing negative up to this point. All smiles and thumbs up at this point. I know.
If anything, I am excited for the creative team that is on this.
Okay, well, there you go. Matthew, now that you know that there's some positivity behind this list, let me start listing these things off, and you can just kind of absorb what's happening here. Sound good?
Okay.
So, right off the back, I don't know if you're familiar with their names. I don't know their past works, but I'll go right into the writers team. But I wanted you to know that the showrunners, I should have looked this up, but they didn't list what they've done before. This is poor research on my part. But they're two men by the name of J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay are the showrunners. And I
think I've heard of Patrick McKay.
I've heard of them too, so I'm just going to jump right into the writers team here. We've got Jennifer Hutchison, who was involved with Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. You've got Helen Shang, who worked on 13 Reasons Why and Hannibal. Mm-hmm. You've got Jason Cahill, who worked on Halt and Catch Fire, The Sopranos, and ER.
Right.
I'm not sure about...
Wait, this is the writers team?
This is the writing team. Yes. I'm only halfway through. Hold on. You've got Justin Dobble, who worked on Stranger Things and Fringe. You've got Stephanie Folsom, who worked on Toy Story 4. And to top it off, you've got Brian Cogman, who worked on Game of Thrones. I'm going to pause a minute for emotional intake. A lot of good material there that these writers have been involved with.
Right.
Because every one of those shows has a writers team, but so these are writers they've pulled from those teams that have worked on those shows.
Some of those names are pretty huge too.
Right?
So
let me move forward a little bit as your enthusiasm or excitement level adjusts. Let me continue. The first two episodes are going to be directed by J.A. Bayona, who is known for the films the 2007 The Orphanage, the 2012 The Impossible, A Monster Calls 2016, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom 2018, regardless of your personal opinions, but The Orphanage was incredible. A Monster Calls is also another incredible film. So this is just for the first two episodes. This guy's going to be directing those. quickly moving down just to round out the creative team. These are all producers, but I still think it's important knowing what they were involved with. We've got Belen Atienza, who is an executive producer who also worked on The Orphanage, The Impossible, and Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. We've got Bruce Richmond, who worked on Game of Thrones, Westworld, and The Leftovers. You've got Gene Kelly, who is known for Boardwalk Empire, Westworld, and The Pacific. You've got Lindsay Weber, who was known for 10 Cloverfield Lane and Star Trek Beyond. Ron Ames, co-producer known for The Aviator, The Departed, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Avengers Age of Ultron. And you've got Kate Hawley, who is the costume designer known for Crimson Peak. I missed half. Sorry, I'll have to maybe cut this here. I missed part of the notes. Hold on, let me pull them up real quick on my secondary device. She was known for not just Crimson Peak, but also the Suicide Squad, which got an Academy Award for costume design, or nomination at least.
And holy crap!
Right, hold on, I'm not finished. Here we go. Last couple people, we have Academy Award winner Rick Heinrichs as production designer, and he worked on Sleepy Hollow, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Right.
Then you got Academy Award winner Jason Smith for visual effects supervisor. This is important. He did The Avengers, Super 8, and The Revenant.
I was gonna say
Leo DiCaprio, who also I think got his first nominated award for that. Didn't he, for The Revenant?
Not his first, but
No, Golden Globes. He won.
Yeah.
Academy is stingy. Damn you. Tom Shippey, really important dude, super old. He's the Tolkien scholar who helped with all the original movies.
His first 3 movies.
All of them, including The Hobbits.
Yeah.
He's the guy they talk to for continuity, because he's the most knowledgeable in all the writings of Tolkien.
Yeah, if you look at the director's cuts, you can see him talking to those directors the whole freaking time.
That's right.
The whole damn movies.
I know, Tom Shippey, really knowledgeable guy on all of this content. Hold on, almost done. You got John Howe as the illustrator and concept artist who worked on the original Lord of the Rings film trilogy for concept art and illustrator.
Right.
So that right there, you're gonna get your visuals, and you've got Shippey, who's working on the canon for the story,
right.
And you've got this massive list of talent on a lot of these films and shows that have been award winning through their paces. So now, Matthew,
it's a 10 out of 10 right now.
Where's your excitement level? Yeah.
When's this supposed to come out?
Not an official date, but I believe they're going to at least start production by the end of this year, so probably we'll see it 2020. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I'll keep my fingers crossed. But
that alone, dude, there's so much potential. Oh my goodness, Lord of the Rings spin-off series, and it looks like it's going to do, I think, a second age or something. It's going to be something prequel-ish. It's going to be before.
I was going to say,
it's going to be before the
like
Ring.
The in between like the Hobbit series and then Lord of the Rings kind of a thing.
No, I think it's going to be older than that. I think it's because if you think about it, freaking not Frodo, Bilbo Baggins is only on his 111th birthday at the beginning of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And the Hobbit's about his youth. That's only 100-year gap. I think this one's going to go back a bit further than that. I think there's rumors it's going to take place around the origins of Sauron himself.
Like Ring Creation?
Like Ring Creation era. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the elves were around for 1,000 years plus, and so
Right.
this is going to happen sometime during the
That's
Ring
the
creation.
first kings, and holy mother God.
And with that creative writing team and the Tolkien canon knowledge dude, there's a lot of potential there.
Okay, for my hope is that they choose very wisely the actors that play in this.
I'm gonna throw this out there that I think the writing team and producer team alone shows that Jeff Bezos of Amazon fame has every intention on getting high class talent on this, dude. Like, I'm just hopeful, completely speculative, but that's where I'm at on it, man. It's gonna be good, dude.
So,
there's so much hope on this
sorry.
right now, dude. Like,
okay. So if this is the case, this is pre. Oh, what's his name?
I think Golem and Schmeagol, or
No.
Golem,
Well,
or Elrond, pre Elrond.
No, the elf king currently.
I just said, was it not Elrond?
Elrond, yes.
Yes, Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yeah,
yeah, Elrond.
That's going to be before he's even around.
I think so.
Because he is... I mean, granted, elves live for a very long time, as you said.
1,000, plus years easily, at least in the Tolkien universe,
I feel...
Hold on.
What is it, Kate Blanchett character? It's gonna be like when she's like a little girl then.
Maybe. Freaking Galadriel.
About middle age.
Middle age.
She is an elf. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, but she's like already. she's had enough years.
Yeah.
You would think that it would be around the time that she was a princess, if it's going to go back to that point of Sauron. Anyways,
maybe. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, based on the fandom.com wiki page of Elrond, it looks like he's close to 3,000 years old when he dies, about 2,500.
I feel like Mads Mikkelsen would be a great evil elf or villain character.
Are you just pulling that out of your butt completely because I agree with you, or are you reading that off of someone?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm saying for casting purposes, he would make a great, just villainous character.
Well, and
the elf variety.
A dark elf.
Well,
yeah.
the problem with
a drow.
Yes. Right. Well, the problem with Mads Mikkelsen is he's always a villain.
Right, but he does it well.
He does it well, very well.
He does it well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is
it would be right up his alley, actually.
All right.
I don't know if he's getting sick of it yet, but I greatly appreciate you as an actor, Guy.
Well, I mean, you know what? He kind of played an anti-hero in Polar, Netflix original movie, which I did enjoy personally. Reviews were a little polarizing. Play on.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, Anyway.
Never again.
Yeah, never again. Concluding thoughts on this before we move on, guys. Concluding thoughts.
I kind of just want to keep talking about this right now.
I mean, we can.
But I know we gotta move on. I'm sorry.
I mean, no. I don't. I mean, what else do you want to say about it? I'm open.
I'm definitely super excited for it.
No, like this, like right now, like when I first heard that like Lord of the Rings was coming out, I watched that movie within a 24-hour period 5 times.
You nasty person, you. No, just kidding. Matthew, I do have to say one thing though regarding Amazon Prime, which is the only place you're going to get to see this.
I have Amazon Prime. I've had Amazon Prime for like minutes.
I'm gonna need some sign-on info, dude, because like currently we're not subscribed. I definitely need to get some sign-on info or pay for it again, because right now, dude, we're not talking about it right now.
The Boys.
The Boys. I want to watch it before we talk about it.
I still haven't watched it.
Okay, and you've got a subscription, bro. What is wrong with you? Have you seen the trailer?
Hey, go watch the pilot.
But at the same time, like
okay, Matthew, hold up. Have you seen that? You saw the trailer?
Yeah.
And you're like, la 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 la, you still were meh about it?
Yeah.
No,
I guess
go watch the pilot. I guess it's worth it.
Lynn,
I came home and watched it.
Hold on. So you can watch that, but you can't watch Stranger Things.
It was one of those things where the other half put it on.
Let's not criticize the boy here. He's gonna get to that Stranger Things at some point.
That came out after the fact.
Yeah, I know. We'll give him his time limit.
It's okay.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, just kidding. Well, all right. That was a tangent, but regardless, what I was saying is The Boys, I really want to check out. A lot of good things said about it, and before it even premiered, Amazon already gave the green light for a second season, Matthew. So that's, I mean, Amazon already feels it's good enough to do 2 seasons. I want to check it out. It looks fun. I'll leave it at that. It looks fun. The Boys looks fun, and that all the more reason because I get on that, and hopefully by the time I finish that, we get our Lord of the Rings or something soon, because I'm all for all of it, including Lord of the Rings. Anyway. Well, we've said our piece. Let's move on, guys. The big topic, let's jump into the big topic for this entire episode.
What's the big topic again?
Our big topic is the Marvel Phase 4 announcement.
That's right.
At the San Diego Comic-Con this year, dude.
I want to say one thing.
Okay.
I am excited. Super excited about Blade.
Okay, well, that is not part of Phase 4, but I'm also excited about its future in Phase 5.
That's not... They mentioned it at Comic-Con.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Hard cut. Bailey's, just an FYI, is only like 14% alcohol. This is 20.
Oh, thank God you did the high shelf version of that. Moving on, guys. Guys, this week, or now 2 weeks past at the time of you hearing this, we got our... No, I'm just saying. You guys got the Marvel Phase 4 announcements for movies and TV shows coming out in Phase 4 for the next 2 years, 2020 to end of 2021. And I just gotta say this, the interesting thing about the whole thing is that, you're fine, dude, Kevin Feige announced that all the Disney Plus series, the exclusive Disney Plus streaming service TV series, are going to have an effect and an integration and a canonity, crazy new word, right?
Into the MCU universe.
Are going to be part, of the MCU. Unlike previous attempts where S.H.I.E.L.D. and
today's
TV...
children
Agents of Shield, Agent
Agent Carter.
what's her face?
Carter. Sharon Carter.
Eric, yeah, Carter. Aaron
Sh-
Carter. That's what-
Sharon.
never mind.
Sharon.
Yeah,
Sharon.
Carter.
Sharon Carter. Sharon. I wasn't there for it, but I know it. So, guys, yes, unlike previous attempts where, hell, even the Inhumans tried to make small connections to the movies, all really poor attempts. Not failed, but poor.
Wait. Before we get too far into it, are you telling me that I do need to buy into the streaming service to keep into Phase 4?
I will say this, no. Nope. I will say this. This is a marketing scheme for Disney to try to get more subscribers, but I've listened to I've listened to a handful of opinions, other podcasts and articles that make the pretty valid point that, guys, bear with me. Would you agree that all the recent Marvel movies in the last few years, not the last 10, but the last few years, have done really good jobs at cueing you in through references or plot as to kind of what's going on in the greater universe, to the point where you're not a complete stranger when you come into it? Do you guys kind of agree with that?
Like that whole fill-in, like last time on DBZ. Goku fought, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, you know what I'm saying.
or not.
Yeah,
Like-
well, yeah, because they always they go back into like say like was it not Endgame but the one before that they were talking about
Infinity
Age
War.
of Ultron.
Yes.
In-
Well,
In the MCU, they give brief callbacks, but they don't give full flashbacks like last time on this. This is what
Right.
happened,
right.
and this
Right.
is what happened here, and this is what happened here. Because if they did that
So-
in Endgame, you would be like the whole recap section would be like another hour and a half added onto the movie.
Hold on, my question to you guys is: have you guys watched Spider-Man yet, or no?
No, and that's
I
not where
tried to. I tried to go see it today, but I got told no, I couldn't
Hey,
because
Matthew and
No,
Lynn.
I'm just
Let's-
trying to like reference like what he's talking about because it in that movie it references pretty much Endgame to a T.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there. If I felt like you were gonna spoil anything, I would completely edit it out. So I'm just letting our listeners know. Hold on, Matthew. It's not a critique of you. I'm letting our listeners.
spoilers.
Nope. I'm letting our listeners know right now that nothing is being spoiled yet, but I will put out. But hold on, Matt. Can I?
Another throat
Hold on,
punch
guys.
coming.
I missed that, Lynn, because I talked over you. Say that real quick, just for fun.
I'm saying because if he does give spoilers out, there'll be another throat punch coming,
Yes.
and it's
Everything that I'm
it's
gonna
pretty
say
fresh.
is what I
Pretty
just
fresh, like right off Rotten Tomatoes. It's pretty fresh.
Yeah, and you'd be justified, Lynn, for any of our steadfast listeners who are aware of how we
Just
handle
because of
spoilers
Star
with Lynn.
Does not mean anything.
But
Sorry.
what I'm saying, what I'd like to put out there for our listeners, just so they know ahead of time, is right before I jump into this coverage, I'll put a quick spoiler warning. So at the moment, I'm not spoiling anything by saying this. I'm trying to finish my point by saying, I asked you guys a question, do you agree with blah, blah, blah? What I was trying to say was that I feel like Marvel movies overall do a good job at telling a singular story to where if you go into it, you can still enjoy it and you can still walk out of there and say it was a fun movie, even if you don't have context for the nerdy details. However, if you watch everything that Marvel puts out, they purposely put Easter eggs, references, and callbacks for the people that dedicatedly watch everything. And I feel, from a fan standpoint, I love that because Marvel and Disney know how to enrich, quote unquote, enrich the fan base's experience. But in conclusion, I just wanted to know, with all that context, yes, if you've seen everything, does it enrich your experience? Absolutely. If you haven't seen everything, can you still enjoy the movie? I say, yes, you can still enjoy most Marvel movies not having seen everything.
Yes, I agree with that.
You want to disagree, Lynn? Go for it.
I do want to disagree, because if on this new roadmap, okay, if you jump in like 4 legs into the map and 2 of the legs are on the streaming service, how are you going to be able to catch those callbacks or those things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Matthew, hold on. I want to make a point to Lynn before you add anything. What I think is going on, and we'll explore it during this episode as I list off what shows are coming out.
Okay, well, before you get into yours, I want to say I'm not against the streaming thing. I have no qualms with it. It's just, if I'm trying to keep up with the canon and I don't have access to it right now, how do I get those callbacks?
So my quick question to you, Lynn. My quick question to you to resolve your concern is, do you think Marvel will pursue their ventures in the TV streaming service any differently than they do in the movie industry? Do you think they're going to do it any differently? And what I mean by that is, do you think you've missed out on any part of the last 2 Avengers movies that were the biggest films in all of history? Recently, on a side note, Avengers Endgame is now the highest grossing film of all time.
Hold on.
No, let me finish my point. Why?
I will say that, yes, I do feel like I did miss a point, because I did not catch Ant-Man and Wasp, and there is a very big plot point there that I did miss that ends up with him being stuck in in the van in storage and in the movie. Spoilers, everybody, if you haven't seen it already, but I can almost guarantee that you have. I did not catch that as to why he was stuck there.
I think that's interesting, because Scott Lang verbally, and I just watched 2 days ago Endgame again because I bought it. Guess what, guys? It's available for streaming and purchasing. Not streaming, purchasing. I just bought the game and rewatched it, and everything in his dialogue explains where he was. You do not need to see By the way, Lynn, on a side note, him being trapped in the quantum realm was an Easter egg end credit scene that was not in the rest of the movie. Yes, him being trapped in the quantum realm was an end credit scene.
He's the one that like starts the whole thing though.
I know, but did you hear what I said?
But
they explain where he was in the movie. So what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, by the end of Endgame, were you completely lost as to why Ant-Man was in there at all? Were you so lost because you've never seen the movie? You right now have no idea.
The significance of the van and everything, kinda, yeah.
That wasn't my question, though. Here's the thing. Here's the difference. Hold on, Matthew. Hold on. I gotta make this final point before any of you say anything. I gotta make this last point, and we'll move on. Or you can make your counterpoints if you have to. My question was, does seeing everything that's connected enrich your experience or completely ruin your experience? Now, in context of that particular plot point that you're bringing up, watching Endgame, having never seen Ant-Man and Wasp, and me personally, I can verify I've never seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. Never. It did not change the emotional impact that the movie had at the end. Now, as a fan, needing to know every little detail, will it enrich my experience? Yes. I think that's the answer I'm looking for is, can I tell people that if they watch everything, is it going to be better? Yes. Am I going to be lost and pissed off at Endgame in its conclusion at the end of the movie? Am I going to hate the movie because I didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 years ago? That's my question. Are you going to hate Endgame because you didn't understand that one missing plot point? And I will respect you completely, Lynn, if you say, yes, it pissed me off because I missed that one plot point. Go ahead. I don't mean to put you on the spotlight. No, I do. I fully intend to put you on the spotlight right now. I want an honest answer. Did it piss you off?
It kind of does.
Okay,
Because,
I respect that. I'm not... Okay.
No. My thing is okay, honestly, you can get over it as just a generic person going into the storyline who doesn't follow the entire canon altogether. You can get over it. But as someone who kind of follows it, but not to the T, it's a little annoying because you don't know how far or how much you are going to miss with the streaming service.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree with that at all, dude. I completely understand what you're saying.
My thing is, at the end of Endgame, do you know what happens to the female figure of the movie, Wasp? Do you know what happens to her?
No, I don't. Do you?
I mean, you know his daughter. You get reunited with him and his daughter at the end of Endgame, and that's where I'm at. And
So
it's
I'm gonna apologize before I say any more that I am under heavy influence of beer right now, and so if I get a little too over the top about anything, I'm asking my co-host to point it out before I release this episode so I can cut out anything that's unnecessary. Now, I'm being very self-conscious about my responses to you because I don't want to say anything stupid or aggressive.
Can I intervene into this whole thing?
I mean, you can interject. I don't want you to rip away anything I'm about to say.
No,
Go ahead,
no.
Matthew.
So me being one person that has seen Ant-Man and Wasp, the whole aspect of that van being where it's at is not even in that movie. The whole premise of Scott being in the realm,
he's just stuck. Okay.
Just let Matthew go explain.
I'm not gonna over-explain.
No, I get it, but just make your point, I guess.
So, you've seen Infinity War, correct? Right, Lynn?
Yeah.
Half the people disappeared.
Yeah.
That timeline, at that exact moment, Wasp and what's his name get taken away. That is the whole reason why he was stuck in the realm to begin with. Where that van was placed, not even anywhere. Like, I had no clue where the heck the van was.
Okay, but my concern is the correlation between the van, how he ends up in this timeline, and how he's introduced into Endgame. That you don't. It's just, hey, it's a miraculous thing, and he's there. You don't really understand it until later on, and not everything is there. You know what?
I think my question still remains, Lynn. Hold on. Forget all the plot, because this is going to be an hour and a half discussion about a stupid single plot point. I'm trying to make light of it. My question still remains, and it still negates the need for that plot point. My question still remains. Okay.
Does it enrich you? Does it enrich your
Does it
experience throughout
enrich
all the
what
movies?
you're telling? Okay, I guess I'm
so
going to answer for Lynn by saying this, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Does seeing that movie enrich your experience of the plot in Endgame? Yes, 100% it would enrich it. Does it ruin absolutely the whole movie because you didn't see it? You're shaking your head no. And that's all. I'm not asking for a deep discussion about do I miss a movie? Am I going to be ruined?
Let me throw one
for him himself.
Let me throw one thing out there, and then I'm done with it. It's Ant-Man's theory and idea is the one thing that leads to the way they go about taking on the whole storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of grazed over, and you don't really grasp it until he explains it towards the middle. It's thrown in there, and then the end when Tony Stark like finesses it and perfects it.
So I think
then you get it.
So I think the bigger problem here is that we didn't spend 4 hours reviewing Endgame for you to flesh out all your opinions and thoughts on the movie, because that's kind of where we're at right now in this point here, because we promised our listeners we'd do a deep dive on Endgame and we didn't. Because the point you're making is completely, absolutely respected and needed in a discussion where we're trying to rip open the movie as a movie and tell our listeners, is this movie explain enough of what we need, or does it fail at doing so? That's kind of where I'm going with it.
That's my concern with going forward into phase 4. If they put too many things on the streaming service and people don't buy into the streaming service, what are they going to miss out on in phase 4 that they need to get towards the end of phase 4?
I will answer that right now. They're going to, here's my personal opinion, just an opinion, not a fact. I feel that fans will miss out on a lot. They will miss out on a deep, rich, story-driven ride through multiple episodes that movies cannot convey. I think the Disney Plus service is an automatic purchase for me for 2 reasons. One, as a nerd, a geek, a fan of this material, it's going to enrich my life. It's going to expand the characters into depths I could not explore in a movie. It's also going to give my children and my wife access to all their horrible addictions known as Disney and the films and the franchises they're in. And for $6.99 a month, I'm all in. Co-sign that shit. Give me the monthly payment. My soul has been sold. But I'm 100% being honest when I say that. I'm making it funny. I'm making it funny, Lynn.
I can't even knock it because I will end up with it because you know how my other half
Lynn,
is.
we do a podcast that covers this shit. We all have to have it.
Yeah,
So here's the thing.
Well, my concern.
Hold up,
Let
everyone.
me say one
Quick
thing.
statements, Matthew. Quick statement. What?
Anybody who loves Disney is going to buy this regardless of the MCU.
We were very skeptical about that 10 years ago. A year ago. Before we knew what this was, we were very skeptical.
Now, with that being said, with some of
I've
these shows coming out, just being on there, what my take is that they're going to have to integrate what that information is from this into the MCU movie, because people that aren't Marvel fans will watch this and then probably will start watching the movies.
I think that's a good point to Lynn about his concerns prior when I made it very broad and unsure. That you make a good point, Matthew, where you say, I asked the question, does Marvel do a good job of, letting you see the film for what it is and still keeping you in the loop and I think you're correct in that I think Disney's going to double down on the plot and the connections with the shows and the movies by doing that little quick. Oh, look, those in story references. Yeah, like Lynn, you joked about a recap. Like, no, of course, movies are not going to do a 30-second, 5-minute recap, but throughout the plot, they're going to make a lot of references, I'm sure, and I'm guessing that the TV shows are going to do the same. Disney's going to try to double down because here's the thing. I think the bottom line, the point that we're all making and pointing out is that yes, they're probably going to do that. They're going to keep you in the loop. And why are they going to do that? It's to sell subscriptions, dude. But I mean, that's what Disney's going to do to pull you in. Is they're going to make those references so that you want to subscribe to the show. Anyway, I understand, but completely respect Lynn's concern
Right. I respect
about
it too.
missing out on potential connective tissue within these stories. Yeah, I agree with you, Lynn. I get it.
Like it's I'm gonna buy into it. I can guarantee it. It's just
Yeah.
there's two sides to every street. There's an eastbound and a westbound, and you got to think of both sides. Some
Right.
people don't want to buy into it, and some people have other streaming services that they buy into. And there's always going to be the people like Joe and me where we buy into it because it's something that we love and something that our family loves and has an addiction to. And it's just
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you can't guarantee that people, I mean, as a business, as a corporation, as a larger company, you have that goal to get everybody integrated and everybody buying into your service. But
Right.
there are going to be those people like the older generation that are still MCU fans that don't want to buy into this because it's something that they don't necessarily view that they should have to enjoy or immerse themselves in the environment of the MCU. Because phase 1 through 3, did they really have to go to a streaming service to grasp those things? They could go to the box office and get their full immersion in the MCU. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
And I think
it's
with this going on, they learned from what like the Shield, what it could have been, and like lead into things that could have possibly been into the movies. I think they're taking this, what the failures of these shows that didn't really
Make that connection.
amount to anything. Right.
Well, okay. Can I make a fair comparison to the MCU and that was kind of like the Shield spinoff? It was like Doctor Who and what was that? Witchwood or Witchworm or something like that, where it was Captain Jack Harkness and that organization that he
Torchwood and Doctor Who.
Because how much of that did people actually? As far as I know, that's canceled, isn't it?
It only went 3 seasons. Yeah, Torchwood went 3 seasons. Doctor Who is still going.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like people want the main thing, and it's, I don't know. I'm not as, like I'm saying, I'm not knocking it because I do enjoy it, but it's just one of those.
It's
those
a valid outside perspective
that they're trying to push on people, and it's a bit tough to swallow for some people. It's like, if I can make a relevant reference to us, it's Destiny 2 and the Warmind and Trials and the Osiris DLC. A lot of people didn't like that they had to buy those from Activision as a package, they would have rather have, seen what they were worth and bought them a la carte, like what Bungie's doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
The one thing I kind of want to reference, and this goes along with Endgame, is that the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige confirmed that Carter's kids were Steve Rogers back in Captain America. Hold on.
Matthew, you're hurting my brain.
Back in Captain America Civil War, or not Civil War, Winter Soldier. When he goes and visits Carter in the hospital.
That is a separate podcast, sir.
Yeah, if we're gonna break down movies
that the MCU is doing.
Do you have a okay?
Like I've watched Spider-Man.
That right there goes to further my point, though. Is if we miss, like if they put 2 legs of the the roadmap in nothing but the streaming service, how is everybody going to keep up on top of that?
On a quick side note, I think we should jump into the Phase 4 announcements to conclude our show, now that we've had an hour discussion.
What's going on? Sorry. I believe that even if somebody doesn't have the streaming service, they will still know what happens because of how bad the Shield failed and Agent Carter failed. But yet they still are referenced in the movies.
My concern is with
I'm just saying, like I understand that there's going to be a lot of stuff that they're going to miss.
My biggest concern is Doctor Strange's TV series is right in the middle of the roadmap.
It's not a TV series, Lynn.
No, that's a movie.
It's a movie. It's the second Doctor Strange movie.
There's a full movie?
Hey, Let's pause this conversation and let's give ourselves and our listeners some clarity as soon as we come back right after this break.
Warning. Spoiler alert. Warning. Spoiler alert. You have been warned.
So guys, first up on the docket, I'm going to go in chronological order. I look for commentary and hype level as I read through each segment here. But the first film jumping us into the news Phase 4, and now this is post Spider-Man Far From Home, which literally just came out last month. So as of right now, guys, it's summertime 2019. We are not getting another film or anything. We're not getting anything from Marvel until May 1st, 2020. And that first jump back into Phase 4 is coming in the form of, and this could lead to a lot of wonderful discussion, a prequel. A damn prequel. Black Widow 2020, directed by Kate Shortland, an Australian filmmaker, perhaps best known for the Nazi drama Lore. You guys can look into that later. I haven't seen it, so I can't verify her chops, but it's a female director directing Marvel's second female-led live-action film after Captain Marvel of 2019. It's written by Jack Schaefer and Ned Benson, starring Scarlett Johansson, of course, as Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, David Harbour of Stranger Things fame and the failed Hellboy film. Unfortunately, I'm very sad for him, but he's coming back as Alexei Shostakov, aka Red Guardian, a Russian version of Captain America. Florence Pugh as Yelena. I know, if you don't know your comic book history, guys, that might be shocking. But Red Guardian is a thing. Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova. Depicted in the plot, from what we can tell from the footage shown off, there was a sizzle reel for Black Widow shown at Comic-Con where it depicted Miss Natasha and Yelena, I think, fighting each other, kind of like an old academy assassin friend that she may be trained with. Then we have characters like actress Rachel Weisz as Melina Vostokov, Ray Winston is a to-be-confirmed character, Lyra Nathan, to-be-confirmed character, and in the footage they did show Tony Masters, a.k.a. Taskmaster, but we don't know who's going to play the role yet. Now, Taskmaster, for those of you not in the comic book knowledge, he's a character that can basically look at and observe someone's fighting technique and almost instantly replicate it just by seeing how someone fights. So, everything short of super abilities, but everything physically that someone can do, he can look at and replicate almost immediately. That's his ability. Seems interesting. Second female-led character. And what we do know, only confirmation on timeline, this takes place after Captain America Civil War, where the Sokovia Accords were announced and the Avengers split up. And it takes place before Infinity War. So it's a prequel / it's an in-between storyline that's going to kind of showcase what Black Widow was doing in between all this time. And it's going to introduce Taskmaster. And my quick thought to you guys is, one, how interested or excited are you in a Black Widow film? And two, how do you think this paves the way as an introductory film for Phase 4? Because they said everything going into Phase 4 is, again, going to be a new thing that ties into a bigger picture down the line. And since Black Widow, I'll put a spoiler warning in before we go into this, but Black Widow's dead. She dead as f***.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a prequel story. It introduces some new characters we didn't see before. What are your guys' thoughts, excitement level, and thoughts on what does this mean for Phase 4? It's the first kickoff. It can be brief. Your thoughts?
I think for myself, I mean, I'm not too excited about it, but at the same time, it's a good movie to kind of showcase what led up to things that happened in Endgame, kind of a thing. Like,
the Infinity War saga.
Yeah.
Potential, yeah.
Because, I mean, she wasn't really, like, mentioned in some of the other movies up until Infinity War and then Endgame.
Right.
So it's kind of a good, like, what was she doing kind of a thing. I like the Taskmaster as the villain.
Okay.
And I like Scarlett Johansson as an actress. So, I mean, it's kind of over the fence, but at the same time, I'm kind of holding back on, like, if it's going to be worth it, kind of a thing.
So I'm going to add one little last tidbit of flavor to the information here that I've gathered from the footage that was shown. Is Comic-Con people are describing this as very much a Jason Bourne film in its filming and presentation. So that's interesting. It's definitely, like, coming out of the Infinity War saga, I think Marvel and Disney are now at this point, Disney's made 4 films have hit the $1 billion mark. That was news this year, this week. that Disney has money to spend and Marvel's made a big enough presence that they can kind of put in niche genre stories that are different than the typical superhero cape and spandex.
Right.
So, throwing that out there, my thoughts, I'm intrigued and interested in seeing Scarlett Johansson play an action thriller that is based in the Marvel Universe. I am very speculative and curious about what it's going to do for Phase 4. I'm going to pass it off to Lynn. That was my thought. Pass it off to Lynn. Any quick thoughts, sir?
So, I will say that being a member of the Avengers, it will be nice to see that missing piece of the story that was there of the prequel. And being a fan of the Taskmaster from the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting series,
Nice.
it will be nice to see his introduction into the storyline, also being a Spider-Man villain as well. See where he ends up, and if he continues on with the series later on, it would be nice to also see what happens with Taskmaster. So I'm kind of excited for it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not super knowledgeable on the Black Widow comic book line, but that is the speculation. Like, Taskmaster must be one of the missing links to, like, I mean, I don't think they're going to revive Black Widow into the present day. So, what other characters in this story are going to play into Phase 4? Or, because, I mean, it's the first Black Widow film, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does well, if they don't do a Black Widow 2 kind of thing. But again, it's all, at least right now, it's all going to be prequel stuff, so I'm very curious, as I think all of us are, as to where it's going to go. Like I said, guys, I'm going in chronological order, so I don't have any deets on this. I didn't write anything down. I just know, so we can throw out our speculative thoughts real quick. The next thing on the docket coming out, we got in the summer of 2020, we got the Black Widow film, and then the first live-action TV series starring Sam Wilson's The Falcon and Bucky the Winter Soldier. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier miniseries is coming out live action end of 2020 in the fall on the Disney streaming service, which is when presumably that whole service will be full-blown live with Star Wars original content. This will be the first Marvel original content. It does have the returning actors playing their respective roles. Now, the thing I want to throw out here is, what do we think this general thought? What do we think this journey is going to be? We do know it's. I've heard after reading articles this is going to be post Endgame, and so again, we're all in spoiler territory because I put the alert before we started talking that old man Cap passed the torch and gave him his shield. Now, but it's called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, my initial thought is this is going to be a little bit of a journey series leading to him. Like, maybe the government doesn't want to see him take on the mantle as Captain America. And maybe this series is going to lead to us at the end seeing him finally become Captain America. That's my theory. I'm excited for it. It's the least exciting. They're the least exciting characters to me in the fan base, but the premise of that idea excites me, and so I want to get your guys' quick thoughts on what do you think it's going to be about, and do you care? Matthew, if you don't mind, I'm gonna throw it to Lynn first. I see a little bit of the waving of the face with this, maybe, on thoughts.
It's going to be interesting to see where they really take it, and character development being as that is after Endgame. But I don't know. I feel like it will probably be a character development of Falcon, and maybe Bucky showing, or maybe becoming the villain to Falcon, becoming Captain America. You know, maybe he doesn't like that. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where it does go. I don't hate
Yeah.
the idea, but it would be nice to see Falcon becoming Captain America and maybe Bucky becoming a villain. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just there could be a whole lot of like different, I guess, universes go through there. Like
Yeah.
it's just I ultimately see Bucky getting slightly jealous, maybe less, but it ultimately what's wrong with Falcon becoming Captain America?
No, like right, like and just before Matt gets out his thought, a quick comic book, a little bit of lore background that Bucky actually was the first person to take on the mantle of Captain America, at least as far as the original comic books go. Um, but Sam
So
Wilson but
the
Sam Wilson does
saltiness
the
might.
same thing. Yeah. I mean, both of them were different characters that both took on the mantle of Cap at some point. But it looks like, you know,
Maybe they both do end up taking it up, and then they go and encounter, you know, the Soviet Captain America, or the British Captain America,
ooh,
which is definitely worth the Google on both of those.
crossing
If you,
streams, Lynn. We're
yeah,
talking about crossing streams here.
I think one's called, I think it is Captain Jack, like the um, you know what they call their flag, the
Yeah, I don't remember on that one.
yeah,
We'll have to look it
but
up.
but
Yeah.
there is a British Captain America, and there's also a Soviet Captain
Oh
America.
yeah, yeah. There has been, yeah.
So it might be interesting to see them incorporate both of those characters into this storyline.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Matt, thoughts on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show?
My belief, and it's kind of so going with comic book lore. Um, Falcon actually becomes Captain America
Mm-hmm.
because Winter Soldier doesn't want to do it because of reasons, because he feels like he can be turned at any moment.
Reasons.
My thinking is that Falcon doesn't become Captain America. I believe it's going to be Steve Rogers' son later on. I think what this is going to be is like a setup for that aspect,
Crazy twist.
because Steve Rogers' kids would be about the age of what's going on right now
You think?
to take on the mantle of Captain America.
You think they would be?
If you're going along with, you know, like what I was talking about with Carter's kids, two kids, the son and daughter, being Steve Rogers.
Oh, fair enough. I know. I'm just messing.
I think what this is leading up to is that kind of aspect of they're gearing towards a younger, like, MCU.
I mean, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my take.
All right, Matthew. Fair enough. We shall leave it to the ether. as we wait for it to come back down. So, guys, moving forward, coming off of summer 2020 with Black Widow and 2020 the fall with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have our next entry, not escaping 2020, November 6th, 2020, we have The Eternals, which we have finally gotten a full casting for. We heard rumors weeks ago as to what this could be about, but James Gunn was going to set up the space, the outer space portion of the Marvel Universe, but we won't drudge up those old conversations. Things happened, delays happened, so regardless, we're now getting the Eternals, which is a little more of an eclectic spin-off of a series in the Marvel Universe. I don't know the whole history, and we're not going to dive in it deep on here. Shout out to you, Nick Thomas. Wish you were here with us. You could probably really unfurl some of these details for us. But basically, the Eternals, from what we hear, they've been created by the Celestials. They're powerful, evolved versions of humans that have existed for a very long time. We're talking thousands of years time frame. What we do know is the casting. So right now it is directed by Chloe Zhao. She's a Chinese film director, screenwriter, and producer. Her debut feature film was Songs My Brothers Taught Me in 2015. It was an indie film that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. Her second feature film, The Rider, 2017, was critically acclaimed and received several accolades, including nominations for Independent Spirit Award for Best Film and Best Director. So, seems like a strong female-directed choice. She's got a couple things under her belt, but Marvel kind of does this. They hire some, at least on their new properties, they've been known to hire some relatively unknown directors to kind of showcase a lot of their newer properties that aren't familiar to the world. And so far, it has been successful. Taika Waititi was one of those who was known for a handful of things, but wasn't like predominantly a well-known director until Thor Ragnarok. And we'll get back to him later as far as what he's going to direct next. But this film, The Eternals, is written by Matthew K. Firpo and Ryan Firpo, a brother duo who's going to be writing this. And our first casting list, big names were thrown out there. Angelina Jolie. Been half a minute since she's been in the spotlight for a consistency in film making, but she's going to be playing the character Athena. Richard Madden as Icarus. Kumail Nanjiani, great comedian. He's been coming up a lot lately in the last couple films out there in Hollywood. He's going to be playing Kingo. Lauren Ridloff as Makari. Brian Tyree Henry as Fastos. Salma Hayek, we know that name. She'll be playing Ajak. Leah McHugh as Sprite. Don Lee as Gilgamesh. And currently, 3 characters who do not have castings yet. We need to fill the roles for Cersei, James, and Karen. Now, again, I mean, a lot of these names might go over your head. Half of them go over mine. I'm not well versed in what the Eternals are about, but I can say with the talent like Angelina Jolie, Kumail Nanjiani, and Salma Hayek, amongst the other list of actors there, that we've got some cool talent coming in here for a very offshoot, some might say, non-traditional genre film for Marvel. We're going very celestial origin on these things. General excitement or thoughts, guys? I mean, I know our knowledge base is limited on what the Eternals are about, but
So the Eternals, it kind of goes along on the basis of Captain Marvel. This is kind of like a second Captain Marvel movie, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because her background is a part of the Eternals. They're basically like the first superheroes in aspects. They are gods
If you'll permit me
in
for
the MCU.
half a second, Matthew, let me just read the first paragraph on the
Okay.
Wikipedia about Eternals, just to kind of give ourselves and kind of our listener base an idea. Right here it says the Eternals are a fictional race of humanoids appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comic Books. They are described as an offshoot of the evolutionary process that created sentient life on Earth. The original instigators of this process, the alien celestials we keep referring to, intended the Eternals to be defenders of Earth, which leads to the inevitability of war against their destructive counterparts, the Deviants. The Eternals were created by Jack Kirby, classic comic book philanthropist, and made their first appearance in The Eternals #1, July 1976. So that's kind of the time frame for comic book nerds out there as to when they came out. Yes, I mean, they've basically kind of their own little faction of galactic defenders of the planet Earth, with what seems like the Deviants, which were kind of like maybe the children that didn't turn out okay during the Celestials' creation of these individuals. Yeah,
They would
I
be
mean,
like the crawl or whatever the heck they're called for Captain Marvel.
yeah,
That,
yeah.
that,
Oh,
that
hey,
those would be the Deviants.
here's an interesting point. It says the Eternals saga was thematically similar to the New Gods. Shout out to the DC Universe, who's currently working on the New Gods.
Right.
And the series is also eventually canceled without resolving many of its plots. Oh man.
Yeah.
Huh.
It ended on this aspect of like how they actually.
This is what's insane to me, Matthew. No, this was insane. This I don't mean to make this a long tangent, but like I remember hearing on another podcast. Shame on me for not being able to shout out the cast, but another group had talked about and pointed out to me that the Eternals was such a short comic book run, like such a niche story, not just a niche story idea, but also was such a short-lived comic book run that it is insane to me, and I think all of us, and just a realization of how confident and capable Marvel and Disney are, that they're taking something that didn't last long at all and is such a niche idea, and they're gonna make a full-blown film out of it because they know tickets are gonna sell. Like,
Well,
that's insane. I mean, Black Panther, I mean, props to all its cultural reference and all the people involved in it, but prior to it coming to the theaters, that was also a comic book series that was just not a huge mainstream. It didn't have a huge mainstream identity. Sorry.
right. No. Like
the Inhumans.
Yes, like the Inhumans. Then yes, like the identity was small to the mainstream, and the Eternals dude is a fraction of what Black Panther was, but Marvel's got so much money and so many balls that they're like, nah, we're gonna make a whole movie about the Eternals, and guess what? We're gonna cast Angelina Jolie.
what I
others.
think that they're trying to do is kind of sorry.
Go
what
on.
I think what they're going to do with the Eternals is kind of bridge the gap between who they are and how Doctor Strange comes into play.
Can
Because they're basically like the first, basically superheroes to kind of keep an eye on Earth, but at the same time, the whole aspect of, I can't think of her name, the person that chooses Doctor Strange, basically.
I was gonna say, Matthew, Lynn looks itchy to interject.
Sorry.
Sorry. No. I'm trying to let Matt finish before I go on to my idea, because my
Sorry.
idea is going to spark a whole other conversation.
Oh, jeez, Lynn, come on.
Oh, finish up your thoughts, Matt. Let's go. I've got to work.
Okay, like, well, do you understand where I'm coming from, Lynn?
No, I get what you're saying. I see
Like,
your
the timekeeper, basically. She has like a time. She has the time stone, right? So
10-4.
Okay, let's just let Lynn go off. Go on, dude. What's
okay,
up?
Fine. Sorry.
Okay, I am excited to see how they introduce and tackle the Eternals. And I will say that I think this is the way that they are going to introduce the mutants of the MCU into the film and Disney streaming service of the MCU altogether. And that's how they will bring the X-Men full circle. Because the Eternals are, unlike the Inhumans, which the Celestials create as the Immortals, the mutant or human variants of the space beings.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, I like dumb it down to how not comic book nerds would get it.
So, do you think that's going to bring in Silver Surfer then?
I think it will open up the idea of the Fantastic Four, the Silver Surfer, and the X-Men altogether.
Well, so, because Silver Surfer is actually a part of the whole Celestial.
Yeah, ultimately, yes, he is. And I think that will be maybe the new, or the reimagining of Doctor Doom and the reimagining of several other villains that can be incorporated to the MCU that aren't necessarily completely tied to the Fantastic Four. Or the X-Men altogether. Do you know what I mean? It kind of opens up.
Yeah.
And I think that is why they grab such a niche, or like
Yes.
like specific scenario group, and incorporated them into Phase 4.
AKA the first X-Men, because they are.
So, this conversation could go real deep. It
could go a lot longer.
Oh, I'm not shutting you down, dude. Sorry, go on.
All I'm saying is I would like to see the direction and how they tackle this ultimately, but I do feel like it is a good thing maybe heading into Phase 5, if there is a Phase 5. I would definitely enjoy it. Possibly the recreation of Wolverine. and the incorporation of Deadpool.
Okay, quick side note. As we continue, we'll move a little faster through the next couple points because I don't have a lot of details on the next couple ones. The Phase 5 concern can be washed away, Lynn, because, yes, I know a lot of fans, comic book fans alike, will know that Kevin Feige announced years ago that there were only going to be 4 phases. This is before Disney bought everyone out and said, nah, bitch, We're gonna keep
They
going. Now
They
hold on.
showed at Comic-Con that that Blade was going to be Phase 5.
I know that this is my point. I'm just kind of making light of it, making a joke by saying that this was before Disney bought everyone out and said, "Nah, we're gonna keep going." So,
This
but
is a cash cow. We're going to keep going with it.
but I mean, let's not neglect the fact that Kevin Feige, being such a fanboy, now gets access to literally hundreds of more characters that he didn't have before. I'm just
Well, yeah,
the only.
Didn't they acquire Fox? So then
Yeah,
now that he's got,
I know that's
he's
my.
got all
That's,
that.
I know that's what I'm saying is because that Disney owns so many more characters now. Kevin Feige's like, well, I was gonna stop at 4, but shit. Disney's like, nah, we're gonna go forward. You need to bring the X-Men in, and blah blah blah. ... All these other characters. So
Here's the real question: will we get more than 2 X-Men like Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead?
one side note, one big side note. Kevin Feige or someone higher up said that Deadpool will absolutely be part of the MCU. I think Kevin Feige himself said that actually. And
Well,
hold on.
It's a guaranteed thing, one way or another.
That's I know, but okay, like this is a separate like discussion.
Yeah.
The whole rated R, adult, blah blah blah, Disney. We can't do that. What are they gonna do? But right now we have direct confirmation that one, it even though it was an offshoot, it was still a wild success. The PG-13 cut of the fourth wall breaking Deadpool. Deadpool 2 did a PG-13 cut Christmas edition, courtesy of Fox, and that was before Disney owned them. So, and with Kevin Feige behind the wheel, anyway, let's shelve that for a separate discussion because there's a lot of things we could say and share about our feelings and theories of what they might do with that wonderful character. And we know that we know from articles and Kevin Feige that Ryan Reynolds, including Ryan Reynolds' own Twitter account, is that all of them are on board for Deadpool 3, and we are gonna have to wait and see what that turns into. Because yeah, so
I can't wait for our recording tomorrow when we do our reviews. All
okay,
I'm saying.
Yep, absolutely. So let's continue pile drive. Let's pile drive through the rest of these announcements. A lot of things to consider. Yes, the Fantastic Four Phase 5. It's happening. Let's move.
It's anything mutant related. I could almost guarantee it's going to happen Phase 5.
It's going to be Phase 5. Because here's the thing. Phase 4 is a short window. We get a lot of content coming out in only 2 years. Because end of 2021 is the end of Phase 4.
Didn't they confirm that they were going to do a Fantastic Four as well?
Yes, Kevin Feige confirmed that they're working on the script for a Fantastic Four film right now. But it's going to come through Phase 5 for sure. Like, we know that. So
Phase 5 would be Blade.
Yeah. So, well, we'll all speculative. Let's come back to that later. Moving forward.
Not sparkly vampires?
February 12th, 2021. We get our first that was not racist. I just slurred my words because I'm full of alcohol. Guys, our first Asian-led action hero movie from Marvel will be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Quick deets. Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, known for the short film known as Short Term 12 and the full-length film known as Short Term 12 in 2008 and 2013, respectively. Deacon's Mondays, 2007, and most recently, 2017's Glass Castle, starring none other than Brie Larson, our famous Captain Marvel, and Woody Harrelson. Another wonderful speck in the Hollywood spectrum.
Snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
You like snowballs.
Right, so this director has had a few things under his belt, but again, fresh blood still to the mainstream of directing. And Marvel likes to do that. We currently officially, and this is ironic, I don't have the exact time and dates, but over a year ago, Simu Liu, this Chinese actor, tweeted over Twitter, I know, and said to Marvel, "Hey, I would love to play." Basically, I'm paraphrasing that he'd love to play as, Shang-Chi, like the lead character from this now film. And isn't it crazy how planting that little seed got him literally cast as Shang-Chi in this movie by Marvel? So, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi is happening. Tony Leung as the Mandarin, and here's the real the real kicker. He's gonna be the real Mandarin. Sorry, Ben Kingsley, your fake out in Iron Man 3. I'm not really a villain. Is actually going to be the Mandarin from the comic book lore. He's going to be the legit Mandarin.
Like the ring and everything?
The rings, plural. Legend of the Ten Rings, Lynn. Yeah, he's going to be the Mandarin. And, side note, Awkwafina, she's one of them crazy artists who's only known by one name. She was in Crazy Rich Asians. She played a character in the Black Panther film. She's now coming on to an unknown character role in Shang-Chi. Good for you, Awkwafina. I like her in Crazy Rich Asians. She was great. I'm excited for Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. And, hey, bro, Tony Leung, I don't know how you're going to be, but I'm excited for the whole thing. 2021, we're going to get some Asian flavor. And do either of you guys, might have to ask Nick later, I meant to look further into this, guys. I apologize, listeners. But do either of you have any comic book knowledge of Shang-Chi?
I do not.
It's okay if you don't. We will look at the runes later.
Have you played the Lego Marvel games? Did you pay attention to the lore in the Lego Marvel games?
Oh, snap! Fill me in real quick,
even if you haven't read the comic books, they go pretty in depth in the storyline missions of the Mandarin and how when you unlock the Mandarin.
Well, okay, no, I know who the Mandarin is.
Of the Shang-Chi storyline.
I just don't know that whole. Yeah.
Not enough for the Shang-Chi.
Did you guys know about the Warlock or the Nightmare or Dormammu?
I know Dormammu, but that's Doctor Strange territory from the movie. I don't know the actual lore. Sorry, dude. I'm failing as a nerd. Forgive me, listeners.
Right there with you right now.
But hey, if you want a quick catch up, go back and play Lego Marvel. They give you a pretty good storyline catch up. Really brief, comical, and to the point.
We won't give it to you here today, nerds, but in a future episode, we'll dive deeper when those movies come out. Fair? Can we say fair enough?
There. I'm excited for this one. I do have to say that Shang-Chi and a legit the Mandarin, I'm excited for.
Yes, that's very cool. I love that they're going to do that. I look forward to it, dude. And I'm curious how that's going to tie into Phase 4. What are going to be the key elements that we carry on from that movie that
I would like to see how or if they continue Shang-Chi into further MCU, further into Phase 4 or Phase 5.
Right. Is it going to be a one-off that's just an enriching experience, or is it going to be connected like the rest?
I'm going to have to do some research on this one.
You gonna research and come back, man.
Because doesn't the Mandarin also double as a Tony Stark villain as well?
Yes.
He was,
young Tony Stark.
and that's
He
why
was really.
that's why fans were pissed off at the angle they took for Iron Man 3. Even though it's the highest grossing Iron Man movie, the plot was upsetting to fans because the Mandarin ended up being a spoof situation and wasn't the real guy. Whereas in the comic books, yes, the Mandarin is a villain in one of the storylines for Iron Man. That's why fans were pissed. But moving on, guys. Coming off of this second Marvel film for 2021 of Phase 4.
God.
What?
Sorry.
You okay?
I think I just had an epiphany on like what they're going to do with that.
Do you want to share it or do you want to formulate your thoughts later?
I'm going to formulate my thoughts later because
Okay. Fair enough. Take note, outtakes. Matthew had an epiphany at this point, at this juncture. We'll move on. Guys, going back to the Disney Plus service, we have a couple series back to back or at the same time for spring 2021. February 12th, 2021 is the Shang-Chi movie, and then sometime within that span of the, February, March, or April time frame, we're going to get two different original series. We're going to get WandaVision, and we have complete confirmation. Like, I've heard podcasts speculate, oh, is this going to be a prequel? And I'm like, did you guys not listen to the whole Comic-Con thing? This, guys, we have confirmation on timelines at least. We know for a fact that Elizabeth Olsen will be returning as Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, and Paul Bettany will also be returning as the Vision. And yes, spoiler warning, we all know this, Vision died in Endgame, and guess what? This show takes place post-Endgame. Yes, that's right. Post-Endgame. Vision never came back at the time. Hold on. There's a little tie into this show that's going to lead into the next film where I think I don't want to waste too much time speculating until we jump into the next film. So I'm going to give you guys a couple brief deets on these. All we know for WandaVision is it's a miniseries post-Endgame, and it has Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch and the Vision. And that it's going to be about them and their relationship somehow, even though it's post-Vision being dead. Now, real quick, I want to list off the next two things, and then I want to get our speculative thoughts as a group, because these are happening quick fire. You've got the Shang-Chi film in February. You've got WandaVision, same time frame. We've got Loki, starring Tom Hiddleston. And we have been confirmed by Kevin Feige that this version of Loki will be the little mischievous bastard that escaped with the Tesseract in Endgame. That branching timeline that we all speculated might have happened because they never returned that stone to its original time. Because Tony screwed up. Spoiler warning, blah, blah, blah. So now we have an alternate Loki that's still alive, and we're going to follow his adventures as to what happened when he disappeared. We'll come back to that in a minute. So we got two shows that we can give our thoughts on with minimal information on plot. But shortly after, the next Marvel film on May 7th, coming out of the spring, will be May 7th, 2021, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Quick deets. It's directed by a returning director, Scott Derrickson, who did the original Doctor Strange. He also directed 2012's Sinister and 2008's The Day the Earth Stood Still. It's also written by Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. It is currently starring, at the time of this post, we know it will have recurring Doctor Strange actor Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch. There's currently no additional casting at this point that we know of, but we know Scarlet Witch is involved with Doctor Strange in a title called In the Multiverse of Madness. Guys, get behind me for half a second. We're almost to the end of this whole thing for what was announced from Marvel. What the f***? We got WandaVision, Scarlet Witch, and the Vision post-Endgame. We have a Loki spin-off that came from Endgame. And then we have the movie, Doctor Strange in. Not Doctor Strange and the Multiverse. Not Doctor Strange, the Chronicles of. This is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And I will throw this out there and then open it up. Speculation is with that title in the multiverse and with Scarlet Witch coming into play for this film, that there is going to be some heavy laid multiverse manipulation from one or both or everyone involved, and it's going to be one screwed up crazy ass roller coaster ride of a story. I've watched some video breakdowns of what villains could be involved and where this could go, but Matt is scratching the crap out of his head, and that just tells me he's got thoughts. Lynn, if you'll oblige, I'll pass it to Matt first and have him give me his spiel. What do you think, sir?
So, Scarlet Witch has the ability to manipulate universes, multiverses.
Or create.
Yes, create things, manipulate time, if you will. And I think that's the whole premise of like what the whole WandaVision is going to be, is the fact that she was in love with Vision for so long that she just couldn't live without him, and brings him back into the MCU. Loki, being the devious person that he is obviously elsewhere in the universe.
Yeah, I figured there wouldn't be too many heavy ties right now, initially.
But I believe that he, at some point, comes back, and it leads into the whole next Thor movie with what he does. I know I'm gapping a movie,
which we're not aware of yet.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. Go on. Lay it out.
And the whole everything that ties everything together is the movie. Oh, you just said it.
Doctor Strange and
Doctor Strange
in the Multiverse of Madness. Yes, that.
So
Yeah.
that movie is going to showcase what I believe. Sorry, I'm getting kind of tired at the moment.
Dude, it's getting late. Keep going. Push.
Sorry.
We're almost there.
Push.
That right there, I think, is going to bridge the gap between those two shows on Disney Plus going into Thor. Like, it's going to basically collate everything that happens from Disney Plus into the movies, going into Thor, and whatever the heck Thor happens. And you will see Loki at some point back in, the big screen.
Absolutely. I'm gonna shorten up my thought real quick, Matthew, and then pass it to Lynn. I agree. Yes, this film is going to probably, in the grandest of Marvel styles, tie up a lot of, or interject a lot of crazy things because of the multiverse idea. And for WandaVision, I definitely think that's going to play a huge part, at least for comic book canon. That Nick, I'll shout out to Nick. He's always pointed out to us during these conversations. He's like, "Well, hey, in the comics, Wanda actually creates her own reality where Vision is there again." And I'm like, Nick always brings that up, and I think this right here is like the clearest picture being painted for Nick's hardcore fandom and love that this is going to happen. And Lynn seems on board in the same way, so I'll tie it up all by saying that I'm excited for WandaVision. I'm intrigued for Loki. Don't know how much that'll tie in to WandaVision or Doctor Strange, but I definitely feel that WandaVision will kind of be important to enrich, quote unquote, enrich our experience of Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness. And I will leave it at that. And only a couple more things after this. Lynn, excitement and thoughts on the next 2 series and a Doctor Strange film.
So WandaVision. If you haven't read it, go back and read the Infinity Wars saga, the original. Okay? And then I really hope that they incorporate the 2 kids that Vision and Wanda had into this series. If they don't, they miss an opportunity, because those were the true winners of the Infinity War. Now, with Loki, I have a feeling that they will incorporate all of the dead MCU characters in, as well as alive MCU characters, and tie them all up and incorporate them back in and figure out a way to make Loki either pop up in the new Thor movie or into Phase 5, which will be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
One of the 2, he will appear in one of the 2 movies. Okay? And then for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I have a feeling it will break down everything that goes through Doctor Strange's mind in every brief glimpse that he goes through the universe. And it will incorporate inhuman creatures that the humanity can't fathom nor mentally tolerate into the new series, and just basically kind of be like a science fiction horror movie. I'm hoping for that, because that's what it should be.
Oh. Well, two things, Lynn. One, the multi amounts of variations will be up there, at least 15 million, according to Doctor Strange in Endgame. For outcomes that he witnessed. Also, we do have confirmation from Kevin Feige and the producers for Doctor Strange that this will be officially the first that they're labeling as horror film for the Marvel MCU. So they're they're leaning into the scary and horror aspect of it.
We won't just get Dormammu, we will also get Nightmare.
I was going to say
solid theory amongst nerds and comic book lorists is that Nightmare could be a huge potential villain in this.
It would also be nice to see Warlock. That would be fun.
Yeah.
What is his name? Adam Warlock? Or is it Andy Warlock? I think it's Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock was introduced at the end scene of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But guys, it's getting super late. Let's wrap up the last couple things into the final statement. So, real quick, I'm intrigued by this. My excitement level will present itself as we see what it turns into. But Marvel's putting out a What If series, which is kind of like, for you DC comic fans out there, it's kind of like an Elseworlds anthology series where it's all animated. It's going to have reoccurring voices from a lot of big Marvel characters we've seen for voice actors. And it's just going to be an anthology series of, for instance, what if Sharon Carter became Captain Marvel instead of Steve Rogers? Stories kind of like that. Like, it's just a whole bunch of what ifs. Like, what if this pivotal character was this pivotal character instead of the one we're familiar with? Or what if this person chose to be bad instead of good, kind of angles? You know what I mean?
Dude,
Yeah.
if they did this and like the Teen Titans Go style and put it onto the Disney streaming service, I would hardcore bite. Not even gonna lie. Like I would buy the streaming service just for if this was done like Teen Titans Go.
I mean, yeah. Second that Teen Titans Go is incredible.
Like ridiculous and over the top and just like.
I've been watching it with my kids, Lynn, and I cannot believe how appealing it is to adults as I watch it. I'm like, wow.
It is great.
Some of the things they say or joke about is like it's kind of like 90s cartoons. Kids have no idea about some of the references they're making, but the adults are just here losing their shit over it.
Dude, there was one today. Robin was watching one. I hate to go off on a side tangent, but Robin was watching one where Robin, like Batman and Robin,
yes,
was in a pageant, like a kid's like pageant, and he had lollipops coming out of his rear end, like his back pocket. And Robert, my other half, Robin, goes, if one more thing comes out of Robin's back pocket, I'm done. And he like pops out like another 4 lollipops out of his back pocket. And they increased in size as they came out. And she goes, I'm out. I can't do it. It's great. Like if they do What If, I don't know. I feel like
I think it'll be good. I think it'll be fun. Either way,
it would be good if it was done in the Teen Titans Go style or the Death, Love, and Robot style, where it's a different style each episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna lie.
There we go.
I agree.
I'm done.
Oh no, you're fine, dude. Before we lose Matthew, listeners, Matthew's getting tired. We're all getting tired, and little peel behind the curtains. It's almost 2 a.m. as we are finishing this up. So, guys, let's finish off with the last 2 things coming out. Not a lot to say about this because I don't have deets. I don't know who's in it. I know for a fact that Jeremy Renner is returning as Hawkeye in fall of 2021 for affectionately titled Hawkeye Disney Plus series. So what I do know is that this is going to showcase points where he was being Ronin and stuff that takes place post Endgame. So possibly we might see flashbacks about his story. We might see full episodes where it's focused on a situation where he was Ronin. I just know that I can't remember who was cast, but someone's being cast as Kate Bishop. And I know that is post Endgame as far as like the future Hawkeye and other things like that. So all I'll say is I'm excited to kind of see just a little more of his backstory unfolded. If you guys don't have anything specific to add to that, I will make the last announcement. The last thing to wrap up Phase 4 is going to be Thor, aka 4, the 4th one in the series. Thor Love and Thunder is what it's called, coming out November 5th, 2021. And what we know for sure is that Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok, is returning to direct Thor: Love and Thunder. He's also probably going to return as Korg, the rock creature who I freaking love in both Endgame and Ragnarok.
This is my joke.
Hey, this guy is on. They were playing Fortnite. Yeah, it's hilarious. In Endgame. Anyway, but back to the crux of this whole thing is also the fact that, surprise, surprise, we have found out that somehow either Marvel Studios or Taika Waititi had a sit down with a certain Natalie Portman and somehow talked her into returning as Jane Foster and will be playing the female Thor. Jane Foster, female Thor storyline from the comic book saga, which was titled Love and Thunder, where comic book fans will appreciate this background knowledge. Jane Foster discovered she had cancer, and Thor became unworthy in this storyline, and Jane Foster went ahead and at some point in the plot grabbed Mjolnir, the hammer, and was able to wield it and suddenly took on the powers of Thor. It's as simple as that. I never read the full storyline of it, but that's what happened to Jane Foster, is she was cured of her cancer, became worthy, and became the female Thor at a time when Thor was unworthy. Now, the irony behind this idea is if you look at Endgame and where we left off with Thor, Thor gave the kingdom of Asgard to Valkyrie to run, and as far as we know, he's like, I don't know where I'll go. This is the first time in 1,000 years I've had the option of doing something else. At which point, maybe that's what makes him unworthy, and I'm curious what the plot's going to be where Jane Foster comes into play. But it's got Taika Waititi, it's got Chris Hemsworth as Thor again. It's going to have... Guys, forgive me, it's 2 a.m. It's so late. Tessa Thompson as the Valkyrie. And Jane Foster, Natalie Portman coming back as female Thor. I'm not only all for the interesting curves this might deliver, but I'm also all for Taika Waititi directing it because he did such an awesome job on Thor Ragnarok. Guys, I leave this episode with you guys. Give me your thoughts and excitement level, and then we'll close out the show.
I would like to start off by saying, unless it is Natalie Portman from Endgame, in the current timeline, Mjolnir is destroyed.
Oh.
So
I don't think they'll pull some weird twists like that.
It would have to be when they went back, they messed the timeline up by like Thor hugging his mom or something, and there's some kind of weird loophole where it does allow her to be cured of her cancer. So it'd be interesting to see how that all gets figured out.
There's been
I'm excited.
Yeah. Excited for it. There's been no indication that she's gonna have cancer. That's just the original comic storyline that led to her becoming female Thor, but there's no indication that that's the direction they'll go for MCU.
You know what it is? It's probably when they took the stone from him.
You think they might try to make that connection?
That's probably the way that they'll do it, is that they did it that way.
Possibly.
Not
Matthew. Oh, sorry.
But pass it on.
One thing I'm kind of excited for is that Jeff Goldblum actually kind of said that he would be reprising his role as...
I heard that.
It's my birthday.
And I would never be against it.
Yeah.
Love Goldblum so much.
It might be only for like 2 minutes, but at the same time, I love Jeff Goldblum, and
I will pay just to go see those 2 minutes. Not even gonna lie. Best 2 minutes worth $20.
Well, guys, on a side note, and much to the miracle of my children still being asleep right now, because I know the baby would be awake right now if it were not a miracle. It's 2 a.m. for us, and we're gonna wrap this shindig up. It's been fun deep diving into the Marvel Phase 4 lineup and announcements. Guys, we will come back at you later in the week with other exciting things that have been happening. We absolutely needed to get on here and talk about the future of Marvel. So thank you for joining us. Sorry Nick could not make it. We will have to hunt him down and hope that he can join us on the next.
I wish he could hear.
I know. I hope he
could have listened to like a 5 a.m. episode.
This could have been a 5 a.m.
Take down his
episode.
pants and spank his butt. I mean, what?
Matthew, you are delirious. Let's not jump into those kind of threats. Anyway, guys, so, if you made it to the end, thank you. You guys are true listeners and true fans. This is going to be a pretty long episode.
It
wasn't meant to be.
Didn't
But it turned out to be.
send some hate about it.
Oh, dude, there's a lot of good things here. A lot of good things to talk about. So, and we have a lot more coming up. So, just a quick little end of the thing, guys. You guys can message us over Twitter or Facebook, and you can find all of us on nerdentialsmedia.com. That's right, guys. Nerdentialsmedia.com. That's where literally all the videos, all the podcasts, everything we do can be found there, guys.
All the nerdy things.
So, for me, Matthew, and Lynn, this has been your Nerdy Essentials. As always, we will see you on the other side.
To the left. Oh, wait.
There was only, and you know what I appreciate is that I paused long enough and I just waited for the first line from either of you and I just jumped right in, and there was like no hesitation.